The following is a presentation of 912 Sports. Welcome to On Air with 912 Sports, your number one source for high school sports. With Sean Smoke and Kevin Price. On Air with 912 Sports is brought to you by Coastal Pines Technical College. Go Coastal. Prime South Bank. Find your prime. Robbie Robertson Ford, because Fords are cheaper in the swamp. Gibson Animal Clinic, practical solutions with limited fees. Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, the region's best orthopedic care. And Kim Smoke, licensed realtor with eXp Realty.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
High schoolers, did you know that you can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College? Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
Some regions are starting to take shape while others are wide open. Hello, everyone, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports, and we've got a great show for you tonight. Some regions like Region 158 have a clear front runner, like the Brunswick High Pirates, and other regions like 16A will come down to the last weekend with wins and losses, and that still may not be enough to determine a region champion. We're kicking off a new segment this week titled In Case You Missed It. 912 Sports will take an in-depth look at some of the events from the previous week's games that you may have missed. And head writer and podcast host Kevin Price and I will preview the games for October the 25th. All this and more on tonight's show. So sit back, enjoy the show. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robertson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Welcome, sports fans, to our new feature, In Case You Missed It. I'm Sean Smoke, so let's get it started. The Richmond Hill Wildcats defeated the previously undefeated Valdosta Wildcats 35-14 to turn Region 16A on its ear. It was a huge upset and possibly the biggest win in the state last Friday. Not to be outdone, the Clinch County Panthers roll into Osceola and take down the number one ranked Irwin Indians 34-28. With this victory, Clinch is now in a three-way tie for first place in Region 2 Single A Division 2 with Irwin and Brooks. Talk about defense. The Coffee County Trojans shut out the high-powered offense of Houston County with a 14-0 victory over the Bears. Coming into the game, Houston County's offense with four-star quarterback and Memphis commit Antoine Hill had averaged over 49 points per game. Great job, Coffee County Trojans defense. In a de facto region championship game, the Brunswick High Pirates beat Lakeside Evans by a final score of 61-34, clearing the way for the Region 1-5A championship. The Pirates now just need to handle their business against winless South Effingham, and they'll hoist the trophy. Last but not least, the Long County Blue Tide will no longer go undefeated in 2024, losing to Jenkins 18-17 this past Friday. However, the predicted preseason record of 9-1, 8-2 is still on the table with a win this Friday over Southeast Bullock. That'll wrap it up for this week in case you missed it. Stick around. We'll be right back here with more On Air with 912 Sports right after these messages.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Call on us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
Play it loud and rev it up. Robbie Robinson's got trucks built for tough.
Make your way to Robbie Robertson Ford in Waycross, where the deals are bigger than ever. Looking for a stylish midsize car, a spacious SUV, or a truck that performs at work and play? Robbie Robertson wants your vehicle and is paying top dollar. Now is the time to buy. Fords are cheaper in the swamp.
Welcome, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke, publisher of 912 Sports. He's Kevin Price, head writer and podcast host. Kevin, how you doing?
Good, Sean. Good to be here talking high school football. Before we came on the air, we were talking about some of the doozy region races that we have, and the picture's real fuzzy, and some of these regions might get a little clearer after this week, might not. I sure hope that a lot of these regions have their rule books ready and got these rules figured out with tiebreakers and whatnot, because I got a feeling we might need them come the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I've got my shoes off. I've got all 10 fingers and all 10 toes to do some counting here, Kevin. It's definitely going to be you're going to need a slide rule to keep up, but we'll try to get you through it as best we can for this week. We think the picture's going to be a little bit clearer down the road, but we'll let you know what we know. But we're going to talk about the games for October the 25th. We're going to start off. Applin's got to go to Cook. This is a big region game. Applin with a big win last week. Still rolling, looking to me like they're going to clash with Pierce, both undefeated in the region that last game of the season. We'll see if that holds true. And then Bacon County's got to go over to Fitzgerald. That's an interesting region, Kevin. A lot of things at play. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about that here in a few minutes. But Bacon got to go on the road to take on Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald, one of those front runners in that region. And then Bradwell's got to go to Lakeside. Bradwell gets the win last week over South Effingham, but it's going to be a little bit different story going up to Lakeside in the Augusta area up there in Evans. So we'll see who gets the win there. But the first game we're going to talk about, Kevin, and people are going to say, well, why are you talking about a 0-7 team and a 1-6 team? Because there's a lot on the line for this game. Berrien's got to go to Caney Bay to play the Brantley County Herons. Both of these teams have struggled all year. They're both young teams. They're both, not at the top of the echelon by no means. But Berrien's sitting there at 0-3 in the region. But Brantley's sitting there at 1-2 in the region after that big win over Jeff Davis. If Brantley can somehow find a way, Kevin, to get this win, get a win next week against Bacon, they could slide right into the playoffs as a number 4 seed, depending on what Jeff Davis does. But that's the reason why we want to talk about this game, because this is very, very interesting and very, very important for the Brantley County Herons.
Yeah, well, first of all, you mentioned the records for both teams. So when they're looking at the other guy, they're going, here's a chance for a victory. But we'll certainly talk about it from Brantley's perspective. That one victory that Brantley has right now is huge, and it looms large, and it was over Jeff Davis, a ranked team at the time, and that is what it is. But just the fact that they had that victory that's a trump card in this region right now, depending on how things finish up for the Herons. Now, of course, Sean, they lost last week to Thomasville, 62-0. You know what you can do? You can flush that one down the sink that I have over here, or the toilet that's right here behind me as well, and just put that one to bed. That's in the past. That is what it is. They're a really good team. Their program's a lot further along than yours right now. Of course, Brantley's under a first-year coach this year. But bury that one. Put it away. The games that matter for Brantley are these next two right ahead of them, Berrien and Bacon. Like you said, they're right there in the playoff mix for a 4th seed. That would be big if they could get it. Here's a chance to beat a Berrien team, keep them winless. And then that game against Bacon County, they're still, I guess, in the playoff hunt somehow, some way. They're sitting there with 1 region win as well. They do have 3 losses. They're, I guess, a half game back, if you will. They played 1 more game than Jeff Davis and both Brantley in region play. I think Bacon and Jeff Davis, though, still have to play Fitzgerald, and that's something that Brantley already has behind them, too. And again, if they can, finish off the business here in these next couple of weeks, I know Brantley still has a Worth County makeup game to go as well, but these 2 right here are the big ones. They could find themselves in the playoffs as a 4 seed. And again, that win over Jeff Davis is the big one that could carry their way into the Final Four there in that region, because they do have that head-to-head tiebreaker over Jeff Davis. And again, that still looms large if Brantley could take care of business.
Yeah, you got Jeff Davis, Bacon, and Brantley all fighting for that number 4 spot, because we feel like Thomasville, Worth, and Fitzgerald are going to be 1, 2, 3 in some kind of order. So very important game there for the Brantley County Herons this Friday night down in Caney Bay. We'll see if they can get the win. Kevin, next game up is Brunswick is open this week. They come away with that big victory over Lakeside, kind of put themselves in the driver's seat. Still got a couple games to play, but let's face it, they're going to be region champs in Region 1-5A. But the next game we're going to talk about is the ever-popular Region 1-6A, Kevin. Colquitt's got to go to Camden County. Now, Camden's coming off that tough loss last week. The Lions lost that game 33-7. Colquitt lost to Valdosta 7-3. But this is a very important game. This region, Kevin, right now, man, is so far up in the air. I mean, you just throw everybody in the hat and shake them out and spill it out, and that's how the way it could turn out. But the key this week, and you and I kind of talked about this before we come on air, just win, baby. Just like Al Davis says, if you're in this region, you just got to try to win this week.
Yeah, usually winning takes care of everything. I mean, sometimes with these tiebreakers, it may not. It may depend on how much you win by or that kind of thing. And that could come into play next week or in the next couple of weeks when we get into tiebreakers and how these regions do things. But right now in this region, the best thing you can do is win and get a leg up on the competition and try to move yourself up the ladder in this region. Yeah, right now, several teams in this region tied for the top spot with 1 loss, and that's Colquitt, that's Valdosta, and that's Lowndes. Camden, sitting there, or and Richmond Hill, and then Camden would be out, Sean, if the playoffs started this week. They have 2 region losses, but again, no need to hit the panic button just yet for the Wildcats, because all those teams we just mentioned, they still have to kind of play each other, so it's not going to end up like that. But Camden obviously can take a huge, huge step forward if they can win this ball game and get that 2nd win. And, of course, they've got a Tift County team coming up as well that they need to beat, and they're probably going to have to beat to secure a playoff spot. But when you look at this one, Sean, this Colquitt team, most people thought they might win the region, them or Valdosta. Certainly that's unclear at this point as well. But they did lose that tough defensive battle to Valdosta a couple of weeks ago. Valdosta, of course, still playing without their quarterback Todd Robinson, who's a huge difference maker for them. We'll talk more about that in a moment when we get to Richmond Hill. But this Colquitt team, good balance. Freshman quarterback who's playing well, 2 good running backs who can tote the mail for them, a couple of good receivers, solid on defense, just a good all-around team. They had a lot of firepower in that senior class that graduated. They could score points in bunches, and it was hard to stay with them. This year, a little bit different. They've lost a couple of games in non-region play, and then, of course, they lost that game to Valdosta in region play. So this one, not out of the realm of possibility that Camden could pull the upset, if you will. It is at home at Chris Gilman Stadium. A bounce-back game for the Wildcats. They lost that region opener to Valdosta, came back, played a good game against Richmond Hill. They need to do the same thing here against the Packers over there at Gilman Stadium on Friday night.
Yeah, a couple of light games. Valdosta, Colquitt lost to them 7-3. Camden lost to them 56-37. Same thing with Lowndes. Colquitt actually beat Lowndes, and then Camden loses to Lowndes 33-7. So, can't really draw any conclusions from that, but just some light opponents that they had. But like I said, very important for both of these teams to try to get a win there on Friday night. Brooks is going to travel down to Charlton County and see if Brooks can stay on the winning side of the ledger. Clinch with one of the biggest upsets in the state last Friday night. Big, huge win over Irwin County, beat the number one team in the state. But they got to go to Turner this week and keep the winning waves going. Veterans going to go play Coffee. Coffee, fantastic job defensively last week. Held a team that was averaging 49 points to 0. I mean, what a defensive performance by the Trojans. They'll see if they can get it done against Veterans this week. And then the last game we're going to talk about in this segment, Kevin, Glenn Academy's got to go to Effingham. This game has playoff implications written all over it. We kind of know that Brunswick's going to win the region. We're thinking Lakeside's going to finish second, but who's going to be 3 and 4? And this game's going to have a huge, huge impact on who is 3 and who is 4.
Yeah, this region is kind of taking a little more shape than some of these other regions we've talked about. Brunswick in the driver's seat, should finish first, just has to win one of their final 2 and should, quite frankly, win them both. Lakeside Evans should win the final 2 games on their schedule as well. So they should finish 1-2. The real battle in this region is for 3 and 4. Glenn and Effingham both in that mix for the 3rd seed, both teams with 2 region losses. So when you talk about this game, obviously a win here by either team could put them in prime position to finish 3rd there in the region. And then, of course, if looking at it from either team's perspective, I'll look at it from Glenn's perspective because I do the Glenn podcast. If they were to possibly lose this ball game, they've still got a big one next week against Greenbrier, which could be a must-win for both teams. Greenbrier still in the mix with 3 region losses. So that one could very well be for the final playoff spot in the region if Glenn were to drop this one. But when you look at this ball game, Sean, we know that Effingham can score. They've got a really good offense. They can stay on the field offensively with the top 2 teams in the region, and that's Brunswick and Lakeside Evans. But when it comes to defense, by no means do they have the defense that Brunswick has, and the Lakeside defense is not as good as Brunswick's. That's why they couldn't stay in the ball game with Brunswick for 4 quarters. And Effingham's, it's just been shaky all year. If you look at their scores, anybody that has a decent offense, they haven't stopped. Now, Greenbrier, I was a little surprised they only held them to 7 points last week. But of course, Greenbrier, one of those teams that was playing, their 3rd game as well, in about a week or so time, because of some makeup games with that hurricane. So maybe they, ran out of gas and maybe that played into the Rebels' favor. But when you look at this matchup, the thing is, I know from talking to Coach Rock, they're going to have to limit the explosive plays by the Rebels, and they've certainly made a ton of them all year. And Glenn's going to have to find a way to get some explosive plays because he doesn't know that he has the offense to grind out 10, 12, 14, 15 play drives, 75, 80 yards, going 3, 4, 5 yards a clip. They're going to have to kind of shorten the field for some explosive plays themselves. The thing that plays into Effingham's hands here is if they could get 30, 35 points, again, I don't know that Glenn has the offense to score that much. So Glenn needs to win a lower type scoring ball game here. So again, a big game in terms of the region pecking order. If somebody loses, it's not over for them. But if somebody wins, it's a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, the question is, Kevin, Glenn has not been on the football field for 17 days. How will that affect them, having to go on the road up to Effingham? We'll see who gets it done. But we're going to take a quick break and thank some sponsors. But we'll come right back here and finish up all the games for October the 25th. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
At Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery, you don't have to be an athlete to get the region's best orthopedic care. Our board-certified orthopedic surgeons and physicians treat injuries and conditions that affect just about any joint or bone in your body. Plus, we're backed by the support of Southeast Georgia Health System. From fracture repair to joint replacement, Summit Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Surgery will get you moving again. Call 1-855-ASK-SGHS. That's 1-855-275-7447 or visit sghs.org/summit.
Welcome back, sports fans, and thanks for watching On Air with 912 Sports. I'm Sean Smoke. He's Kevin Price, and we're going to finish up all the games slated for October the 25th. We're going to start off with Jeff Davis has got to go over to Worth County, a big, big region contest there. See if Jeff Davis can pull the rabbit out of the hat. We've got Liberty at Beach. This game's going to be played on Thursday night, so we'll see if Liberty can stay on the winning ways. But the next game we're going to talk about, Kevin, is the Southeast Bullock Yellow Jackets against the Long County Blue Tide. Long County sitting there, come away with a loss last week, Kevin. I thought they were going to find a way to get that Jenkins win. They wound up losing that game 17-18. So now Long County falls out of the ranks of the undefeated. They go to 6-1, 5-1 in the region, and this is going to be a tough region contest. Southeast Bullock sitting there at 4-2 in region, Long at 5-1. A light contest is that Jenkins game, Kevin. Long only loses by a point, whereas Jenkins beat up Southeast Bullock pretty good, 48-14. So we'll see if Long can get this win and stay on that pace. I was shooting for 9-1, 8-2. We'll see if they can figure that out. But they pretty much got to have this one if they're going to stay in that realm because they still got Calvary Day sitting down there coming down the path.
Yeah, well, they still got a shot at that. Certainly, here's a 2-loss team, Southeast Bullock, against the 1-loss Long County team now. And when you look at, their scoring averages, Southeast Bullock averages about 26 points a game and gives up 22. Long, on the other hand, averages 28. So the scoring averages are about the same. But the one thing that's different is Long only gives up, their defense does, about 9 points a game. You mentioned that score against Jenkins. I do think that's a big deal. Jenkins beat them pretty good, 48-14. And then, of course, it was a low-scoring game last week between Long and Jenkins, 18-17. I think if you're looking for a difference in this ball game, I think it's the Long defense. I think they can keep this game in their favor and shut down Southeast Bullock and maybe win this one by double digits. I like Long County to get it done and stay on track for that record you want to see.
All right, well, good deal. We'll see if Coach Feaster can make that happen. MCA is going to travel over to Savannah to play Savannah High. Wayne County is going to go up to Pooler to take on New Hampstead. New Hampstead played Warner Robins really well last week. Come up just a little bit short, but a nice game there for New Hampstead. Tatnall is going to go down to play the Pierce County Bears. Good luck with that, Battle Creek Warriors. Pierce County rolling 7-0, the only undefeated team here in our 912 coverage area. The next game we're going to talk about, Kevin, in depth is the Richmond Hill Wildcats are going to go over to the Concrete Palace to take on the Lowndes County Vikings. Another big Region 1 5A, huge game. Richmond Hill with probably the biggest win in the state last week, beating the Valdosta Wildcats after Valdosta was, undefeated. Everybody thought they were going to win the region, no problems. Oh, but by the way, you lose your playmaker and your quarterback, Robertson. But Richmond Hill, I'm pretty sure Robertson does play defense, but he didn't give up 35 points by himself. So Richmond Hill with a fantastic game plan to put 35 points on Valdosta. I think that might be the most points that somebody scored on Valdosta all year. I should go back and look. And Lowndes with that big win over Camden. These are two teams that are hot right now. This is going to be a great ball game over in Valdosta this Friday night.
No question. And that win by Richmond Hill over Valdosta put this, league into a frenzy, if you will, kind of turned it upside down and made all sorts of possibilities become a reality. And they upset the apple cart for sure. And, here's another game now where both of these teams tied with, for that top spot in the region that we already talked about with the one region loss. And whoever wins this game, Sean, either way, and regardless of what happens in other games this week, whoever wins could have a shot or would have a shot at finishing first in the region next week with another win, in the league. Richmond Hill, of course, would have to finish out the season taking on Colquitt County, I do believe. And then they have to take on, Valdosta to finish out the season. So, obviously, the stakes are high in this one for both of these teams to get a leg up on the competition. But when you look at this game, Sean, I think that it's going to be kind of run against run defense against run defense. So when Richmond Hill has the ball, they're going to try to hammer it at Lowndes with the Troop kid, and they've got a back on their team that they like to specialize with, and they're going to try to run it at the Richmond Hill defense. So I think this game could be won in the trenches. Who can stop the run the best? Who can run the football the best? I'll look at third down and who can kind of stay on the field, who can get off the field, that kind of thing, who can extend drives with a big third down conversion, who can make the other team punt with a third down stop. And it could come down to basic things like turnovers, flipping the field on special teams, getting good field position and things like that, because I think it might be hard to drive the football 75, 80 yards against both of these defenses. I know Richmond Hill's tough in the front seven, and Lowndes just seems to be playing great football on both sides of the ball. Really took away what Camden likes to do last week with their offense. So here's two teams that are playing well. Lowndes has only lost so far is on a last-second field goal to Colquitt over in the hog pen in Moultrie. So they've got a lot to play for. Richmond Hill's got a lot to play for. This is another high-stakes ball game for both of these ball clubs.
Yeah, and in the words of Al Davis, just win, baby, because that's what you got to do. You got to win and move on. Like you said, you win, you still got a shot at that region championship. We'll see who gets it done in the Concrete Palace. Statesboro's got to travel over to South Effingham. We'll see if Statesboro can get another win there. South Effingham still struggling mightily, no wins on the season. But the last game we're going to talk about, Kevin, is our actual game of the week in our 912 Sports magazine. The Warner Robins Demons are going to come down to Memorial Stadium to take on the Ware County Gators. These guys back in the same region. If you go back, Kevin, this has turned into a fantastic rivalry. Ware County beat Warner Robins here for the state title game back in 2022. And, oh, by the way, Warner Robins returned the favor last year by putting the Ware County Gators out of the playoffs. Both of these teams come into this contest with one loss in this region. This is another region that's up in the air. We don't really know what it's going to shake out to be. Ware coming off that, inexplicable loss to Perry. Everybody thought Ware would go on the road and get that one done. Perry had other ideas. Won that game 31-21. I don't know if Ware was looking down the road. And then you had Warner Robins kind of struggled with New Hampstead. They did get the win 34-22. But again, you would have thought that would have been a bigger spread between those two teams. So I don't know if anybody was looking over their opponent down the road to this game, but this will be huge game in Memorial Stadium on Friday night.
Yeah, I don't know what to think here. I mean, obviously these two teams are very familiar with each other, so not going to be a whole lot of secrets, I guess, unless somebody pulls off something new, something they maybe been saving to pull out of the hat, or just something they dial up, looking at schemes and whatnot, something they find on film that they can do. But I mean, I was a little surprised, certainly by what happened last week. Certainly that Ware couldn't run the ball against Perry, and then here's a Warner Robins team that I think solid, but maybe not as good as they've been in the past. So this is a chance, I mean, really for both teams to get a big win here in the region and kind of stay in that upper echelon, maybe in the running for a region title. But again, it kind of depends on what happens around you. And then certainly, maybe at least a 2 seed. If nothing else, you lose it, you might be looking at a 3 or 4 seed. But again, all you can do is win and just see how the cookie crumbles, how the chips fall around you. But again, maybe, home field advantage hopefully means something for the Gators. They got to make that trip into the swamp. We all know, that Memorial Stadium, never an easy place to play for a road team. And hopefully that will pay dividends for the Gators. But again, I don't know what gives here. I guess what team shows up for both squads, and we'll just see what happens. But this is certainly a big ball game in this region. And, it's a region win that both teams need to try to get.
Exactly, and Ware they do not control their own destiny for the region championship. They do control their own destiny for the 2 seed. If they can win out, they'll be the 2 seed, regardless of what anybody else does. So that's what the Gators' plan's got to be. But this one's going to be big. Ware kind of still a mash unit. They went to Benedictine healthy. They did not leave Perry healthy. They've got several guys in key positions that are not going to be able to go. So it's going to be next man up for the Ware County Gators. But we'll see what happens. But that's going to wrap it up, folks, for all the games on the slate for October the 25th. Go out and see a high school football game. We've got more On Air with 912 Sports coming up right after these messages. You're watching On Air with 912 Sports.
It makes sense Prime South Bank would have a great mobile app. Nobody is as mobile as our customers. For a century, they've chased dreams, followed their hearts, took the road less taken, made a new path, taken leaps of faith. At Prime South, offering the latest digital banking, secure pay apps, and new online lending is part of a mobile tradition that goes way back. Life is mobile. So is Prime South. Find your Prime. Member FDIC.
High schoolers, did you know that You can get a head start on your college career and save money at the same time through dual enrollment at Coastal Pines Technical College. Dual enrollment is open to high school juniors and seniors, tuition free. Talk to your high school counselor or visit coastalpines.edu for more information. Coastal Pines Technical College, an equal opportunity institution. Go Coastal.
Welcome back, sports fans. I'm Sean Smoke, and I'll be filling in for Evan Smoke again for his Game of the Week pick. Evan is now 6-3 on the season. This week's Game of the Week is the Warner Robins Demons travel down to Waycross, Georgia to take on the Ware County Gators. Ware County's had a kind of a Jekyll and Hyde season, beat Benedictine, but go on the road and lose to Perry. Warner Robins has been steady. They did lose to Benedictine, but they've got to come down to the swamp. And Evan is going to go with the Ware County Gators. He is a graduate of Ware County High School. He's going to stick with the home team, and he thinks that Ware County will win this game on Friday night. If you agree with him, you disagree with him, send us a message on the email below here and give us your thoughts on the game. But Evan's pick for this week is going to be the Ware County Gators. Stick around. We've got more on air with 912 Sports coming up right after these messages.
Gibson Animal Clinic is ready to help with your animals. From cats to dogs to horses, we treat them all. Calling us for grooming, bathing, boarding, and more serious things like surgery, dentistry, spay, neuter, immunizations, heartworm prevention, flea control, complete lab testing, radiology, preventive health care. Call us at 285-7678. Open Saturdays for your convenience. Gibson Animal Clinic. Practical solutions with reasonable fees. Russell J. Gibson, DVM.
Gibson Animal Clinic, 108 Riverside Drive, Waycross.
Hablamos español en nuestra clínica.
This has been a presentation of 912 Sports.